Right there, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, you have... Is it live? No, it still says... The thing says waiting still. Oh, actually, there might be a few seconds. It's live. Okay, it's live, it's live. What's up there, guys?
That always happens the first time someone goes live in YouTube. We've seen that happen so many times. Is it live?
I wasn't too sure because I was watching the YouTube channel and it wasn't live. What's up there? What's up, Pete? What's up, Sela? Welcome to the stream. Okay, so obviously you've got your boy ComfyStealth here and my co-host, Les.
Hello,
We are actually going to be going through 4 of the Reservoir League fights, which are coming up at 19 UTC. Hope you guys are welcome. Hello, handsome man with the go. That's it. Was you literally typing that as I was?
Yes.
while I'm like saying hi, everyone. It is an awesome Goku hat, to be fair. Hey, oh, we're not actually the ones fighting. I've already had my fight earlier today, and we crushed it. What about you, Les? Did you have a fight?
No, I have not. Yeah.
I forgot you're chilling out this one. You're chilling out this one, aren't you? Just it's like just vibing in the background. What's up there, guys?
Yeah,
Welcome.
I'm vibing in the clouds at the moment.
So, what we're planning to do is we're planning to watch 4 of the fights which are coming out later on today. They're going to be starting in about 30 minutes. But before they actually start, we're going to go and show you who you're going to be, what fights we're actually going to be watching later today, and who are going to be the ones hosting it. Hey, what's up there, guys? Welcome. Okay, so let's get straight to it. So the first one, which is going to actually be streamed, well, all of them are going to be getting streamed at the exact same time. But the first one, the one which is going to be in the top left-hand corner, is going to be Nightmare's fight. He is in the Alliance VXM, and he's going up against the Alliance Bad. Okay, so let's go check out how his fights are looking so far. So, if we go into the schedule, we have got the Forgotten Cast Group A. He's all the way down here, isn't he? There he is. Okay, so their very first fight, they crushed it with 100,000 more water than the enemy state. It is state 702 against 709. If we look at their previous fights, it looks like they only joined the Reservoir League fights last season. And as you can see, they were actually the champions. They won their Reservoir League fight and absolutely crushed it. So do you think they're going to be making it through to the finals this time? They've got a lovely fight against Bad from state 736 this time. And hopefully we'll be able to see some... good competition in there. I just noticed I actually took your one, so I'll let you do the next one. So the next one we will be looking at is actually Sam's fight.
Okay, so Sam's fight, I think it's AOP against WSU, if I'm not mistaken, right? So last time in Reservoir League, I am quite sure that they qualified for the top 16, and I'd have to double check exactly where they were, but I do remember them fighting. They had 2 alliances from 7-Eleven that qualified last time, both AOP and Kill. AOP was a little bit further than Kill last time. Seems like they had a rough fight in the beginning, as I can see, right? But one of the strong points that they do have is that they are decently organized, so I do expect them to have an interesting match at least. So we're going to see how they're going to perform today. They have experience from previous matches. I don't remember seeing WSU in the top 16 last time that I checked. Can you double check what their qualifications right now?
Yeah, of course. There you go.
The last times that they did the matches in WSU, I'm quite sure that WSU was not in the top 16.
No, they didn't. They didn't even make the top 32. They qualified for the top 256, but they didn't actually
Mhm.
qualify for the top 32. But I'm actually really interested into this fight. So I think this one might be one of the closest fights out of all of them. The reason being is because if you notice during the very first match, WSU absolutely crushed it against one in 716. They got
Mhm.
124,000 more water than they did. So, seeing as AOP really did struggle against TDO, either both them alliances are very strong and had like tremendous leads. It looks like WSU possibly has they could have a better strat, they could have some really strong leads, they might have really been pushing the behemoths recently, so until they actually get into the fight we're not too sure. But this one's one which I'm really curious about because obviously
I
AOP
agree.
is the highest power, but WSU are playing really well.
I agree completely, and this is one of those matches due to how the matchmaking system was made that we might have, let's say, a dark horse winning in the group stage. So I think that this probably out of the four is going to be the more interesting match, at least from what I've checked. But still, it's still this is going to be a very very good match to watch regardless, because WSU is pulling something out of their hat, and we definitely have to see what is going to be. AOP is an alliance that basically have, in a sense, the home turf because they played before. They are slightly stronger, so it is expected for them to have more chances. That being said, the performance of WSU in the other match is quite impressive, and it is anyone's game until the game starts, in my opinion, for this one. VXM, however, which is the one that you mentioned before, tends to be very strong and was the champions the other time. So they're a little bit more favorable. But this one, I'd say it's a 50-50 chance, depending on.
Yeah, through the looks of things, VXM have a big advantage over their fight
Mhm.
today. That's the one which Nightmare's going to be streaming. Also, welcome all who are actually joining the chat. We're just reviewing the 4 upcoming Reservoir League fights, which we'll be watching in just over 20 minutes. We've got 4 different streamers, which will be streaming them live, and we will be watching them and commentating as we go through each one of the fights. So the third fight, which we're going to be looking at, is actually in the they're actually in dark. So if I go through this one, this is we've actually just been joined by the streamer herself. Serbian Girl is going to be hosting this one, going live watching this. So it's going to be she's actually in the alliance FWH. Now, as you can see just here, she is actually in FWH in State 14, and she's going to be going up against FBI in State 21. It does look like FBI lost their first match and FWH, but FWH put up more of a fight against AGR than FBI did against Reg. As you can see, they do have more power than them, though. They have 4,000 more power. So we shall be seeing if power makes a difference or they've got better gameplay. So this is another one which is I'm looking quite forward to. Now, if I
There's
open this one up, you'll notice that they've actually competed in all 4 of them, but the very first one, they came top 16. They didn't have too good of a one on season 2 and 3, but they did bring it back a little bit in season 4 by being number 32. So I'm not too sure if they're going to be on a rise and be doing even better this time. Of course, this first fight is starting off on top 32 now. So they've already made it into that bracket. We just need to see if they can progress even further. Also, Les, do you want to quickly just talk? They said that you're a little bit quieter than me, so I'm just wanting to check.
I'm gonna talk a little bit louder as well. I think that might help.
Well,
one thing that is also, I think, appropriate to mention here is that a good thing that can make this interesting is the fact that as we're doing in Fridays, participation is going to play a big factor. I don't know about the matches that you've seen so far, but a lot of the matches, not all of them, had 30 people. So having all members show up, not only about power, Because personally, from my experience from Reservoir League, what can happen is that sometimes you register some members that are inactive or that can't show up just in case. And power is not everything. It may be like power for show. It may be part of the strategy to not show your cards all along. It may play a part in like a big part of different strategies. So I think it's going to be again another game that is it's going to be we're going to see the dynamics in the first 15 minutes. I'd say the first 3 minutes is going to probably set the tone, but the first 15 minutes you're going to see how they're going to play, and we're going to have some idea which way the match is going to be more favorable of.
I actually have to completely agree with that because I still play with my old crew, which is it used to be State 221, but after the merger, it's now State 215, and they're now struggling to get 30 people into their fights, being on a Friday. Luckily enough, if any of the rally leads aren't going to make it, we've always got someone to be able to back them, but. We've went up against two alliances which both hit the 30 mark, but we're only reaching about the 24 to 26. Luckily, we've won both our first two fights. I actually just uploaded my second fight just 2 seconds ago, but it is quite hard to get the 30 team. We used to always get the 30 team when it was on the Sunday, but we shall see if we can actually, if they're going to be getting 30 out of 30. The last team which we're going, go on.
To be honest, right? Even if that may be struggling for a few people, it may add a surprise factor of another challenge, because the way that things are, this is another factor of how you'll be able to perform, right? So regardless of how things may seem, I think that can also be an interesting way to shake things around, because you can't even know how fights are going to go through until they start, the way that the thing is right now. Even if we make our bets, we can never be sure until the fight starts how it's going to progress due to that.
The last fight we'll actually be watching today is Hop. So this one is going to be this is VLFR Gaming who's going to be streaming this fight. He's been in the alliance since the beginning, and as you can see, they have participated in all 4 seasons of the Reservoir League once again. The first one and the fourth one they did not do too well on. But as you can see, they have had some good strides in some of their matches by progressing all the way to the top 32. Of course, that is still a good feat when it is going from 256 alliances. So seeing as this is just going to be a Reservoir League from 32 alliances, they might have a better chance this time. They did have a very bad first game, but you've got to remember they are going up against the strongest team on their first game. The second game, which they're going to be facing, someone who is 8,000 power below them. So you don't know how it's going to oh no, actually they're fighting the person who is 10,000 power below the last fight. So you don't actually know how well it's going to go until they go into the fight, especially with the styles of gameplay people can try to push. Let's see how they did in their previous games. So this one's actually a new alliance. This is only the second time which they joined Reservoir League. So Hop could have more experience than them. Is really depending on how they're going to play it.
And experience plays a big factor in matches like this in Reservoir League. Even if it is a group stage, I've seen alliances that never played before kind of struggle with the pressure, because it technically is the same game as Reservoir Raid, but the pressure that you feel because you're representing your alliance, or in some cases your entire state, it's a little bit harder for you to actually perform mentally. And Reservoir Raid and Reservoir League are matches that every single mistake counts, because usually when you make a small mistake, it will cost the full occupation of a building or something like that. So having some experience in the match is definitely a small advantage, even if you're slightly behind in power.
So out of the 4 fights, which one are you actually looking most forward to? Which one do you think is going to be the closest match?
I think probably the AOP match. At least that would be my guess.
I was actually I was thinking of the FWH match, but to be fair, both of them are very close matches. So let's reopen these. So it is the Forgotten Cast. We've got Group A and Group E. So Group A. No, sorry, Group E. Here it is. The AOP match, as you can see, it is going to be the ones we, as we said, is the two winners from the last one. So whichever one actually wins this will have already qualified for the preliminaries. They'll be going straight to the knockout stage just from winning this. The third game won't matter so much to them. So they're really hoping to nail this down in this game. If they don't, then they will have to still contend against the last alliance. So AOP will go up against one, which of course, I think that one would be a little bit easier game for AOP. But if WSU does lose against AOP, I think they will struggle a little bit with TDO still, because AOP only barely beat them, so their strengths got to be very close to each other. So I think WSU is relying more on this game than any of the other teams.
There is, however, a factor that not everyone actually knows about this, that I talked with Sammy. And one thing that Sammy did mention is that in their last match, they were struggling. One of the reasons they were struggling is because their main red lead was only able to show up in the last 30 minutes.
So we missed out the whole...
close. Yes, they were behind the entire fight until in the last 30 minutes their rally showed up and they were able to turn it around.
So, okay. Again, I didn't know that much. So, if they had that rally lead for the first 30 minutes, it might have been a lot further difference between the two of them.
Yeah, it's a max player as well, so it would have made a huge difference. We can check when the match starts if he's going to be here. The player that we're looking for that was able to join the first 30 minutes is Ohan.
Unfortunately, you can only bet on the teams if they're actually inside your division. As you know, when inside your division, you get to bet on which ones you think are going to win out of the two teams, and you can also bet on who you think is going to win the whole entire thing. So I've already made my bets between them. Now the other match, which we think is going to be very close, is in Dark Factories and Group E once again. So if we go on to this one, as you know, you've got FWH against FBI. The problem with this one is if you go on to the last match, I think if they lose against the other team, they're going to really struggle against the one after, because they're going to be playing the winning teams.
I think whoever loses this match is automatically out. Probably, yes, from the way that I see things.
I think they have to win this, and then they're going to be playing a team which is even stronger than them for the next game. Because this one is the two winners which are going up against each other. So if FWH did lose against FBI, do you think they've got a chance against Reg? Same as if FBI loses against FWH, will they be able to contend against AGR? So this one is literally a knockout round already, I feel. If they don't win this one, they're going to be out anyway.
But I do think, depending on, let's say FBI has a good advantage against FWH, they might have a strong chance. So this match is probably going to... After this match, you can probably have a good idea of who is going to qualify, regardless of the last match, unless the match is going something horribly wrong, like having a low participation or people performing badly because they're panicking or anything like that. So I do think that even though some of the matches may not be as close, especially those two groups that you mentioned, this is probably going to determine already who's going to go, unless there's something that goes completely off control.
When you ask on who to bet on, the only thing I can really advise you is if you do go on to your, obviously because it's inside your division, you can just scroll through and have a look at the teams. You can see how they've done in the past. You can see even how they did in the last week's fight. And you can compare to see which one you believe is going to win. REG going to win. Are you part of REG's alliance then? Like they did crush FBI, but I think a gigantic factor is all about gameplay. If you know how to counter them strong players, it doesn't matter if that they're higher power. You can always outplay them. I've seen it happen. Yeah, go on.
As some of the alliances that I usually follow say, around 20% of difference in power can be overcome with gameplay. And another thing another tip that I can give people basically with that of actually betting, as you were saying, was they're in your division. Probably you or people that you know around you face them in SVS. You can have an idea not only how powerful they are, but also how well they play. So usually most states around the 700 range, I have an idea of how strong not only the alliances but the states are, and some idea of how their gameplay is going to go. So most of my bets, I won so far in my division, and I do think that it's quite possible to try to guess we're gonna be the likely winners out of 4 bets. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I did actually lose one of my bets. So I was looking at everyone's previous game, and one of them did take a bit of a turn on my one. I was like, I think this one's going to win. They've been playing really well. They've got a good powerhouse team. And then as soon as they went in, it was a crush defeat straight off the bat. I was so shocked. I was thinking, I was so confident in the team which I was choosing as well. So as I said, it can all go down to gameplay. If someone can easily outplay them with certain strategies, and or it can just not go someone's way. Maybe people couldn't attend. There's so many factors inside it. I'm really looking forward to looking at some of these fights though.
I always will remember some of the bets that were done in the first Reservoir League that I was able to watch. And I remember that a few newcomers that came out of nowhere and nobody knew about became the champions. And it was actually funny to see everyone's reaction because nobody was betting on them. And they were like 11% in total bets. and they still it was not even a close match. It was like 400 against like 200 match in the finals. So as you said, just looking at numbers, it is not a good way to predict 100%. You know, because if there's something that when the game is on, all bets are off, right? And people can surprise you with what they can pull off their hat.
I've seen quite a few people saying they're actually from the 700s, which are part of the Forgotten cast. For instance, one of them's actually saying he's from 711. I'm curious if they are from the AOP Alliance or if they're just from one of the other alliances. There's also someone saying, oh, they're actually in the fight today. They're in the WSU Alliance.
Good luck. Have fun.
We will be. I'm really looking forward to this. We've only got 6 minutes until the fights actually start. As I said, there's going to be 4 streamers which will be streaming them in overall. So the alliances we have is VXM versus Bad. That is Nightmare who's going to be streaming that team. We've got Hop against SFH, and VLFR Gaming is going to be streaming that one. We've got AOP versus WSU, and Sammy is going to be streaming that one. And the last fight is going to be FWH versus FBI, and Serbian Girl is going to be streaming that one. Welcome to the stream, guys. As I said, we're going to be watching 4 Reservoir League fights, same as you guys, and we're going to be seeing who's winning. We've got two fights which we, in particular, think are going to be very close matches. One of them is in the early states, which is obviously in the very first division, and another one is in the 700 states. Can you see the chat as well, by the way?
can. Blood Queen just said a hi.
Okay, I was just making sure that you could see it. Welcome to the stream, everyone.
When you asked if I could see the chat, I was imagining, wait, did they say something that I should know?
No, I was just double checking that you could see it as well. I can see 2 of the streamers now have their Reservoir League fights up. They're just waiting for it to let them enter. One of the others currently, it looks like they're doing intel. They're just chilling. They're not even worried about this. The other one is just pumping up with the chat right about now. Welcome to the stream.
You can see the different personalities of each streamer based on how they react to a fight like this. Because some people are gonna be more anxious, other people are gonna be more hyped, other people are gonna be like just chilling and seeing what's gonna happen. It kind of gives you an insight on basically how this streamer does their content and how they treat the matches. It's actually very good to see.
Especially seeing as I said, some of them are going to be a lot harder fights than others. So the ones which are chilling looks like the ones which are ready to crush it.
Probably.
Do you think I should change the screen over now, or do you think I should wait a little bit longer?
I think so. So people can get used to how we're gonna go.
3 of them now have it open. So this is how the screen's going to be looking as we're going to be looking. I see your chats inside YouTube, of course. This is how the 4 streams are up. You've got, obviously, as I said, VXM against Bad, Hop against SFH. You've got AOP versus WSU, and you've got FWH against FBI. Oh, exciting stuff, exciting stuff. I haven't seen them buff up though. They might have done it while I wasn't looking, but I've been really like just trying to watch them like hawk. This one's quite a high BP, 1.3 million over here.
Yeah, almost the same BP as mine.
I think so. Out of these, I think only VLFR is one of the rally leads, isn't he? I think
yes,
all the
VLFR is one of the rallies. I think VLFR is super strong and is one of the most knowledgeable players in the game.
Yeah, I think the other 3 are all fillers. Oh, there's her checking on her buffs. No, she activated the gathering buff. So this is a common thing. A lot of people actually think the gathering buff helps you gather the water. Unfortunately, it doesn't change water gathering whatsoever. Because
water is not considered a resource in game, and it only buffs resource gathering.
Unsubscribe.
At least that is not saying description.
On subscribing, just underneath this, there's actually a button which says subscribe. You can also click the bell notification so you can see if there are any other live streams or if there's any videos which do pop up on the SOS channel. It's nearly go time. It's nearly go time. I can see the clocks counting. So at the moment, none of them have a delay on at all. I was expecting the streamers to be having delays on.
They have courage.
I know, right? Even me, when I was streaming mine, I had a 5-minute delay. I'm not letting anyone watch, like getting any inside information. I do the same during my SVS fights.
I'd put at least 1 minute because 1 minute is a very small difference. But hey, that's a lot of courage.
I'm not gonna lie, during SVS, I quite often put something like 157. So no one can guess the actual delay time on it.
I stream usually without delay because nobody watches SVS.
I always get the anime team coming in, sometimes smack talking me, so... Okay, so we're underway. Let's have a look at these teams then. So we've got 17 against 9 already on that one. We've got 13 against 7. Serbian girl still hasn't even joined. She's just chilling over here. Maybe she hasn't put herself down as a reservist, has she?
Maybe she has a delay.
Oh, she could have a delay, actually. It looks like she's having some internet connection issues. That's not a good sign as soon as you're going in for Reservoir League battles, is it? Okay, so... Oh, this one's looking a little bit scary. This one's looking a little bit scary. They've only got 8 people in there. Yes, Serbian Girl does have a delay on because her timer has only just went down.
Yep. So Serbian Girl is a very dedicated player to the game. So I was gonna be surprised if she didn't have a delay out of all the streamers. I think both Vito and her were the most likely ones to have a delay.
I was definitely expecting, obviously, Vito to be having a delay. That was the main one which I was expecting.
Maybe Vito has such confidence that they're going to win that he doesn't think he needs a delay. Can be the case as well.
So which team actually has a lot more players than the other team at the moment? It's really looking like AOP has the most amount of players. They're chilling out over here. As you can see, they've already got 20. No, they've got 17 against 9 right now. So they've got nearly double the amount of players on the other team. It looks like Vito's struggling over here, though. He's currently got 13 against 23 people. I am thinking I'm gonna have to move them signs though, because they're kind of covering the score when I flick between them. Okay, we've got.
It makes even more fun for the viewers to not see the score, maybe because they have to trust.
They're now biting like, what's going on? What's going on?
What's the score? What's the score?
Okay, it's looking like. Come on, Sammy! Come on, Sammy! Go to your building. Get ready to port or rally. The others are already sat there, ready to port. I can see Vito's got his finger on the trigger. There we go. Okay, so the fastest one was actually Nightmare. Nightmare was straight in there. Vito still hasn't ported. He's not able to port. He's being pushed right to the back. Did you see that? He couldn't even get into the front 2 rows of that one. That one was a little bit. I see Sammy's absolutely like hammering it on her buildings over there, while the other team is trying to hide behind the line right now. But they're giving up on the main 2 buildings right now. Oh!
I am checking, however, that they are. Zohan is there, and they went straight for solar.
Okay, I'm most curious about this fight right here. So, do you see this one? I just noticed that he bounced on one of the. So we actually thought that VXM was going to have the easiest fight right here, but he tried going in and bounced on one of the main buildings. So the one
from what I heard from VXM players, it seemed like one of their main rally leads may not be able to participate today, but I'm not entirely sure. Let me check. I have the name of the rally lead.
It's hurting that I can't see his map. It's hurting that I can't see his map. I want to see what else is going on your screen right now. So, it hurts to see this.
It seems that the top player I don't know if he is right here, but the top player that should be playing in their match in VXM is, let me check, Strike. So if we can't find Strike in there, they're probably gonna bounce at least on some of the main buildings, because Strike is a player that is the main rally lead from VXM right now, from what I got from info from one of their players when talking to them.
Okay.
So if we can't find Strike, that's probably the reason, because he couldn't show up.
Yeah, I'm wanting to see if they can take the water treatment center too right now, because no, they bounced it. So that on one of the main buildings, they are struggling, and I can't see how the rest of them are doing. But
And this is a surprise match, because again, we can't see the map.
This is the one which we really thought they were going to crush it. Okay, let's have a look how all the other teams are doing right now. So if we, I'm just waiting to see. Oh my God, this one's surprising me as well. So they only had 8 people to start off this fight, but can you see they're holding every single one of the buildings?
Yes.
Hop are currently holding all the buildings, and if you look, no, they've.
Now they have 29 players compared to 17. It seems like everyone joined at the last minute.
Yeah. So Hopper are actually crushing their game right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this has really changed the whole dynamic of this, because as I said, we were expecting the we were expecting the this team to be struggling and the other team to be crushing it. So this is where it can literally be a whole game changer.
Participation.
Oh no way! It says that he can attack. It's not blue team. Never mind. He's the red team.
You sure?
Yeah, because he's clicked on it and it's saying attack. Oh, do you think he's got a ghost rally?
I think it's a ghost rally, because if you take a look at it from what I can set, it has his picture and app friends.
Yeah, he did.
Which is VLFR. So I think he's probably doing a type of ghost rally there.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he is crushing it. And as I said, this was the one which we was thinking was going to be the hardest one. We have luck, a big slap for us.
I mean, I expected VLFR to win the match, even though that participation was a little bit lower on the side in the beginning. But I was a little bit skeptical. But looks like everyone joined in the last minute, and then they are performing.
Oh, I even see Mistress in there. So they controlled all 8 buildings to start with, giving them a massive 30. So as you guys know, when you actually take a building at the beginning, you get no water. Once you take that first control of that building, that's when you get the big jump in water. So as you can see, they had 0, then they jumped straight to 32,000. Let's have a look how the others are doing.
One thing that a lot of people don't know is that it's not just the first control. It's every time that you take full control, you get a good chunk of water, which is why it is usually not a good idea to try to keep flipping buildings if you can't hold control, which is one of the reasons why Solar is one of the most important buildings if you are going to have a close fight, because Solar can give you an advantage of squeeze that advantages of full controls every single time.
Someone's asked to explain ghost rallies. Would you like to take this one, or would you like me to do it?
I can try explaining in a simple way. Ghost rallies is when you basically trick the game into allowing you to attack a building when you shouldn't, technically. And with that, you're able to rally yourself, so you can save time of the building control. Because normally you have to wait 1 minute for a rally to start, for you to hit the building. But when you do a ghost rally, you can time it to hit like a few seconds after you lose the building.
At the moment, it's also looking like Sammy's team's doing a lot better than the other one. AOP is currently crushing WSU, and this was the one which we thought was going to be one of the closest fights, because WSU done Zohan, really well in their last fight.
Yeah, I made a mistake in saying that, because I forgot that they mentioned that Zohan was not going to be there, and was not there in the first 30 minutes. But Zohan is here from the start. I've seen a few rallies from Zohan, and it seems like every building that Zohan is in, he's crushing it. Probably are not going to be able to kick him out.
At the moment, I see Bones is holding one of the other big buildings right now.
Mm-hmm. Bones is one of the
welcome to the stream, Hulk.
As well. And as you can see, most of the alliances are trying to hold as much as they can Solar, specifically for that reason. Because normally it takes 3 minutes for you to have control of a building, but if you hold Solar, you have full control in 1 minute and 30. And this forces any alliances that just had their building flipped to necessarily have to start a 1 minute rally as soon as the troops get back when they're kicked, and they cannot make any mistakes. So it puts having solar puts a lot of pressure in the teams that doesn't have solar when they lose every single building.
By the way, just to put one more little bit of emphasis on the Ghost Rally, how you actually perform this is you'll start off by either rallying or attacking a building. Now, before you actually take the building, you click on the building to get the rally option. So this way, you can still click on that rally button, even though you are holding the building. So once you've taken the building, you've still got that rally option open, and then you can actually set the rally on yourself. If you try to do this after you've taken it, then you will only get the reinforce option. You won't actually get the rally option. Oh, we're actually looking through some stats up here. So it looks like he hasn't got his hero appointment quite as high as the opponents, because as you can see, he's got the second option of it, but the stats are a lot better. And I expect that the other thing which he is increased on is probably the behemoth.
And further adding ghost rallies, the reason that they work like that is the game has an offline and an online component. And the moment that you tap into when you are able to attack, you kind of save into your phone the offline component. The fact that you have the ability to start a rally. And then when you start a rally, you send the message to start a rally. And then the game allows you to start a rally because you already had the option before. It's because of how that happens. And whenever you get the red circle of death, that is usually because there is a syncing problem between the offline and the online component of your phone. That usually is done to reduce the amount of data that the game has to change the phones to make the game a little bit lighter.
Have you noticed that this team's actually using defensive heroes when defending against the rallies as well? So I haven't seen this happen in any of the other Reservoir League fights so far, but have you noticed that even though VLFR is the lead of the building, they're changing the lead to Mistress LMFAO, who's using defensive heroes? So when I say that, they're putting Mistress to hold the building with Hank, Roxy, and Joker because they're a lot better to defend the building with their abilities.
And one thing that to clarify for people have to have an idea of why that is done is that the way that the battle system works, it has a bunch of different components, and one of components is hero skills. Those hero skills are calculated separately from stats that you have from fights. And those hero skills are always gathered the game always calculate them based when you are defending on the person that is on the top of the building. When you're starting a rally, it's always the person who's starting a rally. But when you're defending, it's always the person in the top. So again, you can change the person in the top to have the right heroes and the right plane to add on top of the stats that's already being provided by the strongest player that you have in.
It looks like Serbian girls struggling over here. Every single one of the buildings which they're going up against is owned by FBI. So FWH are really struggling trying to take even one of the buildings. They have got nearly 13,000 water, but once the original rallies hit the buildings and knocked them out, they haven't been able to retake them.
And seems like she's having connection issues as well, from what I can check from the stream.
Yeah, it's becoming a little bit hard to follow that one with that. She did get disconnected once already during the fight.
And also there's a participation issues. They have 20 members and the opponents have 26. And this right now is a problem, but it's going to become a bigger problem later on because as the matches goes, like in the 45-minute mark that we have right now, the center and the other auxiliary buildings are gonna show up, which is gonna be munitions and it is munitions and dev compound. And this means that the people that are in the match are going to be spread thinner. And as the game keeps going, they're going to be spreading thinner and thinner and thinner up to a point where you have to keep organizing and moving around the players that you have. And it becomes not only a fight of power, but a fight of movement. And reading the ebb and flow of those movements becomes to actually being able to win a battle. And when you have less opponents, less players in your team, the opponents can then capitalize into that because you're less mobile by having less players playing with you. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it's going to develop in the different matches, because each match has a different situation with the number of members that they have right now. And the only match that we can't actually see the map and just score is VXM.
No, we can actually see the score now. So if I open it up,
no, I said we can see the score, but not the map.
Oh, okay. So I was watching the fights, but it actually looks like VXM are doing pretty well on all the other buildings. The ones which we can't see, the one which they're mainly struggling on is the one which we can see. So they did double rally them out, and they have done it a couple of times now, but they cannot single rally. So this one looks like is going to be the one which they're mainly struggling on. Now, the problem may lie in the lead itself. So if they have the stronger lead over at this WTC and this lead goes to center, they could possibly have this trouble when they go into center. But we don't know.
They just singled them out right now because Strike just joined them. As I mentioned, Strike is their main red lead.
No, because he had to join a second rally at that point. Unless that rally was going to another building, I saw him set a rally and join a rally. So
it's possible that was going for another rally. But
yeah.
See when center opens.
But that's the one which he's been setting on, which bounced earlier as well, by the way. It looks like that's the one which he's playing. So as you can see, center has opened. Let's check if it's currently their team which is holding it, and they've already got a full they've got a full team in there. As I'm watching some of these games, I'm actually recognizing a lot of the names on both sides of the teams in a lot of these games.
Is any of the matches people going super aggressive that we can see and trying to burn the joiners?
I haven't seen anyone really burning players at the moment. So the one which I have seen being the most aggressive is this one, which is VLFR, but it's not so much burning the players. But every single time the opponents have taken a building, they've literally been speeding in to knock them straight out. They have not let them hold a single building for more than 3 minutes. And as you know, you have to hold the building for 3 minutes to actually occupy the building. If you don't hold it for... Sorry?
Unless you have solar.
Oh, yeah, if you have solar, it halves the time. But if you don't have solar, it takes 3 minutes to actually occupy the building. And if you get knocked out within them 3 minutes, then you're not actually going to obtain a single drop of water. I'm always burning.
That's what usually what competitive teams do. They try not only to capitalize into points, but they also try to deny points of their opponents. And that's why a lot of those teams not only go for the buildings to try to avoid them to being fully controlled, but whenever they are going, let's say, for the gathering moments later on in the match, you start to see them go straight for the ones that are occupied first instead of going for the other nodes. It is quite interesting to see. It seems like VLFR is going super aggressive in terms of how they are going in gameplay. It is interesting because every single alliance have a different strategy in doing that. So I wanted to check if anyone was going super aggressive. It seems like so far they're only going for gameplay, because especially in older states they know that you can get all of your troops back in RR, even if it takes one of your members off for 10 minutes. So
I think the thing which stops people from doing this mainly in the older states is due to how many troops which players actually have. So the lowest troop count usually in one of the early states is roughly about 6 to 7 million. And that's one of the lowest numbers. So to actually be able to burn a play with that, you've got to either hope they've got very low stats or you're pretty much a maxed out player. So you're really going to be struggling on that when it comes to the two on the right-hand side. The ones on the left-hand side, I think the lowest troop counts will probably be about 3 or 4 million. So you have got more potential to try and burn one of the players. But it's still a struggle to try to do that. When someone just asked what generations are actually fighting, on the two on the right, these are both Gen 12. I believe them two are Gen 8, but Les is actually inside a state nearby, so he should be able to.
They are currently in Gen 9, but they are always limited to Gen 8.
Okay, so yeah, as I thought, it is Gen 8 on the left hand side and Gen 12 on the right. I'm actually before and after that state, so I wasn't 100% on that.
It's gonna be, as I said,
Maybe 5
interesting
million.
to see. I wonder if any alliances in Reservoir Leader we're gonna stream is gonna use the trick to recover their troops. For those that do not know, in case you have a few reservists and in a match that is completely full, if you leave your match and the reservists take your place for 10 minutes and you join back in, you get all your troops back. You do forfeit any points that you get up to that point, but you can get them back and get your troops back anyway. But it gives you a situation that, let's say you were nullified because you were 0 out of your troops, and you can recover every single after a 10-minute break.
I have noticed that the closest fight is the one behind me. So, do you remember at the beginning it was only 8,000 against 32,000?
Yes.
Look at this now. And the Gathering Water is 1,500 more going for the blue side. So they are actually catching up to the enemies right now. FWH are performing better.
It seems like they had 2 more players join because it was 20 against 26 in the beginning of the match, and it seems like the connection issues are slightly better right now.
I'm still constantly seeing this loading screen on this one, but
yes.
they are doing a lot better than they was before. I believe they started at 26 or 27,000 below, and now they brought it back to 17,000 below and are gathering more water than the enemy. They're not just doing that; they're holding center and one of the main buildings currently. So
they're gathering most of the puddles, from what I can see. I think that is a good. It's something that is actually making a good difference for them to catch up. Whenever they flip a building, it seems that they are the ones that are getting every single puddle.
Well, they just gained another 1,500 water just then, so they just most definitely done it once again.
Yeah, and the bottom right, it seems that they're about to get full control in another building, and if they do, they're going to get an even closer match right now. I think they get around 2,000 points from that building, or close to 2,000 points whenever they get full control. We're going to see.
We haven't actually got long till the water tanks show up. So as you guys may know, water tanks give you 240 points per minute. So if you hold just one section, you're getting nearly 1,500 water per minute. Now, if you look at this, well, at the moment you can't see the scores at the top, but when you are inside one of the games, let's just open one of them at random. As you can see up the top, they're getting only 600 water per minute. They're only getting 600 water per minute on the red team, and the blue team are getting 4,000 water per minute. So just through water tanks alone, if you hold all 4 sections, you're getting 6,000, which is more than both of those teams right now. So it can make a gigantic difference having some fillers to be able to get that water.
A good way to do a strategy like that is usually you get one of the fillers to go to that position at least at the 26-minute mark, because then it has 6 tanks open. For those that don't know, the way that the tanks work is kind of like this. At the 36-minute mark, 3 water tanks in each section of the match show up. At a 26-minute mark, more 3, so you have 6 in total. And at the 16-minute mark, you get 9 in total. Around, usually depends on how many people are gathering, but around the 8 to 6-minute mark, the first tanks actually are already depleted. But the moment that every set of tanks show up, it changes the dynamic a little bit, because when you have just 3 tanks, you don't have necessarily to basically to relocate a player that. You can send just 1 march from strong players. But when you have 6 tanks, a lot of the teams send a few players in there that are joiners because they can keep competing for those tanks as well. Every strategy of each alliance goes in different directions, But it's interesting to see that usually they don't commit as hard until up to the 26 point mark, exactly because it's only 6 water tanks. Every water tank is important, but having a player miss to join a rally and by relocating in there can be a commitment problem depending on how competitive the match is going in the buildings. Because every building that you are not holding and the opponent is holding, they're gathering water, and every building that you're not flipping is a building that you're also giving advantage to them every time that they take full control.
We are actually going to be giving out codes as well during this stream, so don't worry. Our ones do have 200 redemption, so if you should be able to get it as long as you are ready to grab them. But I have noticed that VLFR have started burning settlements. To be fair, as you can tell, they are currently having a massive lead with 163,000 water, while the other one doesn't even have 1,000. So, seeing as they are winning so heavily, they should be able to attack a few players and have a little bit of fun over there.
They're probably trying to capitalize, as I said, before the 26-minute mark, because this was going to allow their smaller players to be able to gather without some of their joiners being able to harass them out of the tanks. Because usually, as I said, you have to commit a player when you have 6 tanks. And if they have smaller players that are mid-sized, they're not red lead size, but big enough to actually be able to push them back, that can be a problem. So by trying to either burn them, they keep them in check, and some of the red leaders have either to reinforce the players that are being burned, or those players that are being burned have to move out, and that can basically stifle their movement.
They actually lost the building. They've lost their very first building. I don't think they're going to let them hold it for very long, though.
That's what we have to check. We have to see if they're going to be able to have full control, because if they don't have full control and they gather all the water, it's an advantage for them.
So one thing which I did notice was that originally the one team which was catching up on points was the one team which I didn't see people sending out for water tanks. So if you have a look at this fight just over here, this was the one which I did not see go for any water tanks when they did open up. But since then, they have now started going for them, and they are now occupying more water. Because you may have noticed that the lead did increase. Sorry, the lead for the red team did increase when the water tanks did first open up, but now they're gathering more water than the enemy once again and trying to close that gap again. I think this one will be the closest fight. They've still got to get another, 13,000 to be able to catch up and win this. This is the fight which, if they lose, they're pretty much out, isn't it?
Yes. And I think they went for a strategy of trying to reset the buildings to get puddles as soon as possible to try to close the gap. And they waited for the moment that people went for gathering nodes, because they will have less marches and stuff like that to be able to capitalize in the fact that they will have players more spread out, and they're going to be able to reset buildings and then gather the puddles. So I don't know if that was exactly the case. Maybe we can talk with Serbian Girl after this if she can clarify, even in DMs. But I do think that was a smart move if that was what they did, because that makes complete sense to actually be able to push them back due to the fact of expecting the movement. Because not all players, even if they play it as enough, know exactly each timer that happens, especially with the water tanks.
I did tell you, by the way, that they wasn't going to let them keep that building. Before the 3-minute mark, they had already taken it back. So Hop are now controlling every single building once again in their fight.
And if they capture every single water, including the water that spilled from the building, this is actually an advantage for them, because not only they gather the water back, but they're also going to get the bonus from full control once again.
The next closest fight is still the one which we thought was going to be the one which they were dominating. So VXM versus Bad, they may have doubled the score, but it's still not as bad as the other teams. And not just that, I have noticed that quite a few of their buildings does have quite a lot of water in. So the one which you can usually see Nightmare contending is the one which keeps getting reset. But the other buildings haven't been getting reset quite as often. And now, as you guys know, this is Live Huken, and we both do play in game. We're actually we play a lot in game. I've been playing the game for 3 years, and I started off in state 221. I'm also one of the in-game streamers, and I do Reservoir League. How long have you been playing, Les?
700 days, so a little bit less than 2 years.
I
started in 710, and I've been playing ever since the first day that I've been there. I have never stopped.
Please don't say you mean 700 days exact where you've been counting them.
No, I think it's 689 or something like that.
Okay. I think I've went just over the 1,000 days mark, just about. I think it's very close to the 1,000 days. But yeah, I actually started just before 221, but I didn't really commit to it until I started my state started in the state that state. They aren't one of these ones fighting currently, but yeah, as you can see up the top, VXM are currently dominating all the water tanks. Every single time he's went over them, they're occupying pretty much all of them. The only thing all the buildings have now been reset. It looks since last time I checked. They've still got double the water than the other teams, so they are kind of crushing it, but they're not quite crushing it where the other team's only got 1,000 water. Nice talk.
Again, the dynamic is going to change a little bit again in about 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 48 seconds in this match, because more water tanks will show up, and with 6 water tanks, not all joiners are going to be able to. You start to have less joiners for each rally, so it starts to be a little bit more competitive in the buildings that you are able to take back. So we'll have to check how it's going to develop. But it seems like from what I checked from the map opening, that they have a good chunk of control in the map at the moment. So I do expect them to win this match.
We haven't went into this one that often. This one's currently Sammy's match. Obviously, AOP against WSU. Sammy's team's been beating it quite well so far. I haven't seen the enemy team even take the center, but at the moment, Sammy's team is 3 times the score. Unfortunately, you can't 100% see it up the top, but I'm pretty sure that's 56,000 and 176,000. They've still got 27 minutes to go, though. And if you didn't notice, Les did just drop a code inside the YouTube chat. He did keep that a little bit quiet over there. But that one also has 200 uses if anyone does want to grab it. I'm wanting to see what's on that center list though, because
I'm trying to hide because everyone expects me to not drop codes from my reputation, so I'm trying to do it.
Doing it a little bit discreet. We have a huge team.
This is definitely going to be clipped, and people are going to be. Let's share the code all the time.
It's already gone. It's already gone. Someone just said in the chat, It's already gone.
Bye, Felicia. I have to use that meme.
Hey, with the name, it just goes perfect. So
yes,
they've just they're now only letting them occupy 2 buildings, and yes, as I said, Sammy Screen's been crushing it the whole entire time. I still haven't seen anyone burn over here though, which I was a little bit surprised with. I thought this one would have a decent amount of burning involved.
But the participation is quite low in the red team as well. They got a full team in Sammy's side and only 21 participants in the red side. That's probably going to hurt their chances of trying to compete. I was expecting a closer match, but it is, as we said in the beginning, right? That participation plays a huge key role in these matches. And if you can't get a full team, it usually is going to put a lot of pressure in the members that do show up.
I'm really surprised with the VXM teams, though, right now, because they're not holding really any... So obviously this one's Nightmare's one, but if he shows an overview of the map, let's hope that he does soon. I have noticed that then no one's controlling water tanks, and as you know, water tanks is a huge part in it. There was literally no occupations.
Last time I checked, they were having a good chunk of water tanks.
I literally have been watching in the last maybe 3 times he's opened it up. There was maybe about 3 or 4 water tanks being taken, and that is it in the whole entire map. So I'm kind of hoping that he'll open up the thing once again. Come on, Nightmare, you know you want to. Open up that map for
What
us.
is the total score that they are adding up in there from the buildings?
So in total, one team's getting 7,200, the other team's getting 2,400.
Yeah, that definitely some water tanks are not being fought for, because it shouldn't be only 10k in total.
While the other fights has 12k, the other fight has 12k, and the other fight has 6k. But the one which has 6k is the closest match out of them all. That's actually getting very close right now. Welcome to the stream, guys. That is what the codes have. Yes, you are correct there. That is what the codes have. That's why the buildings which had a little bit of water, but they've still got over two. They've nearly got 2.5 times the score of the other team. So the one which I keep having my eyes really going on to is Serbian Girls one here, because do you remember what the difference was last time?
Between 15 and 20k.
No, I think it was only about 12k last time. But look at it now.
Wow, 3k.
They're literally bringing this back. They're bringing this back. It is so close.
And at the 24 mark, because they do have a delay instead, this is going to be an actually very good turnaround if they can do it. And I haven't seen any loading screen so far again. So
right at the beginning, it was
going to help.
Right at the beginning, it was 8-40. Then the next time we checked, it was about 40 to 55, where they'd done a big catch up near the beginning. And now it's only literally 3k difference. It looks
and
like
they do have more buildings. I hope that she opens the water tiles.
The water tiles are more on the red side. The red side have about 6 more water tanks right now, which does mean they're getting about 1,000 more water. So they may have more buildings, but due to the water tanks, they're actually suffering. It's 3.3k to 4k water gathering. It looks. So this is how important water tanks actually are.
Yeah. If they keep basically gathering all the waters from every single building that they can get, however, and try to fight a little bit more on water tanks, they can actually turn this around. This is going to be a very close match.
I see what's happening here. So, the blue team was catching up with the red team, and the red team have just started giving up on all buildings. They're now doing my strategy. So, you may have seen this in one of my recent fights, but we did not hold a single building. Have you noticed red team does not hold a single building? But they're gathering 4,200 water per minute, while the blue team is gathering 3,000. It's actually because the red team are all going for water tanks right now. They're not caring about holding any buildings.
They probably want to reset the buildings later on, I think.
That's what they're doing. The red team are literally just resetting buildings while fighting for them water tanks, and that is making it where the red team get more water than the blue team. Did you just see when they opened that map how many red dots there were to blue dots?
Almost everything is a red dot in terms of tiles. Exactly.
So just through them water. Go easy on my friends in WSU. Great job, guys. Fun to watch. So, if you notice that so many of the water tanks are actually red, and they're getting more water than the blue currently. Only currently. But if the blue do not turn this around and actually fight for some water tanks, they will end up losing this. They were 3,000 difference. Now they're 7,000.
One member relocated out of the left side water tanks, but they quickly came back together. But for 1 second there, 6 water tanks that were red were actually neutral. So there must be some fight going for the water tanks on the left side.
Well, just there, three blue was holding. Blue was holding 3 on the east. So you see that Pier 10 literally just ported and knocked the 3 blue out them water tanks. Now the water tanks are 4,800 to the red, 3,600 to the blue. As I said, the blue Serbian girls team have to realize this. If they don't realize this in time, they will lose. The red team
I do think that, being honest, that they have been playing well considering the struggle that they had from the beginning of the match so far. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see, because by the end of the match we may be surprised, because there may have been a plan to try to catch up.
They could have some sneaky plan in the background. You never know. Let's have a look at some of the other fights right now. So if you have noticed, Hop are just going on a little burning spree now. They've had their fun. They've taken all the buildings. They've secured the win with having already 317,000 water in 40 minutes in. Now they're just going on a little burning spree. So they are rallying the Pier 10s in the other alliance. Just rallying the Pier 10s is
one valid strategy that you usually do. You don't rally P10s, but one valid strategy that you usually do is that you rally one of the joiners, kind of like you do with all destroyers in SVS. You rally one of the joiners and time that rally with your second or third march if you are a rally lead. And you do that to make sure that if the person commits and staying in the rally and not relocating or staying in the building to defend, that they're going to lose millions of troops. And that tends to work out, because a lot of players freak out because they know they can lose like 2-3 million troops with that. And you end up sometimes kicking out of a rally that you shouldn't, or getting players to bounce when they were able to run and to win. So depending on how you apply blurring players, it can be a very, very good decision. But if it executed improperly, it can also backfire massively. But it is interesting to see that they are actually using rallies to burn people as a part of the strategy.
So
I do think. Go ahead, sorry.
They have just someone in the chat did just say it was a solo, but all of those were marching at identical speed on the way back, which either if they were solos, then they were timed perfectly. Are you sure there wasn't a rally set in the background? Because all of them were marching perfectly in sync on the way back. Which
it looked like a rally to
which
me.
would
I haven't
inform a rally.
Hit, but...
Stealth, I know. I think my BP is like nearly 1.1 million, but that's in state 864, which is a very new state. Obviously, I have other ones as well. Okay. I don't even think they're going to let them hold a single one of these buildings over here. This fight is pretty much dead in the water. Hop has absolutely crushed that, and I don't think they've got any chance on bringing that back. So it looks the same in the other two fights right here, where VXM and AOP are going to be winning their fights just as easily. They've got nearly...
It's a 17-minute mark, so I think mathematically there's no way that they can turn this around, even if they reset every single building and they are ahead by 10,000 points. At this point, and specifically, I think it is actually possible to shot call that Hop won that match.
The one which I'm constantly keeping my eye on is Serbian girls match, because now they've got an 8k difference, so they aren't getting pushed back quite as bad as they was before. So I am really curious about their water tank situation now. As you guys already know, when I opened this up recently, the blue team was holding most buildings, but the red team was holding most water tanks. Now, the blue team are actually making more water per minute than the red team. It is 5,800.
The thing about the blue team so far is that they have been crushing in water puddles. I have not seen a single time that we have seen a building flip when we were streaming where they were not gathering almost every single puddle. So even if they are losing their own buildings, it seems like they're gathering a lot of the water tank, the water puddles. And this means that they don't lose a lot of those points. And every time that they flip a building, they gather water from the opponent. So I think this is what actually kept them as close as they have been so far.
And right now, as you can see, they're letting that center just build up. It is exactly what we did. Just try, if you can, burn every single one of their players. It looks like you, Hop, I can't have a good chance of doing that. Oh, thank you, Trevor. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. So, if you look on this fight in particular again, you'll notice that the center was 4,000 water. Now, as you know, when you knock that out, that splash will go out, meaning they will lose 4,000 water, and the other team can gain that 4,000 water, which would mean there's only a 2,000 gap. And with how FWH has been playing it, they have a good chance of taking that water, in my opinion. Because as Lezard was just saying, FBI has not been getting the water. So if it continues that way, that means there should only be a 2,000 gap right now.
Two buildings with 8,000 water that I've seen that are red so far, but we'll have to check how things are going. It's going to be interesting to see how things are going to show for everyone, because that match is going to be probably decided in the last 5 minutes. Because you have to remember that in the last 5 minutes, a lot of the first batch of the water tanks are going to go away, and then when those water tanks go away, they are actually having more players to fight them and the other buildings and reset to flip them to gather the water. So it might become a lot more closer to how it is in the beginning. But right now they will have more players this time.
Oh, I see a little bit of action going over on Sammy's alliance over here. OP are now burning the enemy's team. They are so confident that they've been secured that win now. As you can see, she's going on a little burning spree right there.
I'm gonna check the matches, but it seems like some matches already can be shot call. Vito's match can be shot call. I'd say Nightmare's match is close, but mathematically it can be turned around, but I don't think it will. I think that the match that we need to pay most attention right now is Serbian Girls match, because that match still have not been decided. That match is still a match that's going to go up to the last minute to see who is going to take it.
Yeah, right now I'm just curious if she's going to be able to solo that. She's trying very hard, but you can't see how many troops are in the other side, because once again, it's one of those ones where the camera has just overtaken the troop count. So every time she's marching at it, it's not showing how many troops are left inside the building through the reports. She's trying to solo it out, though. Constantly 6 marching it.
8,000 points still of difference. They're going to probably try to reset some of the blue buildings right now that have some water and to try to push back. And it seems like they are even giving up in the building in the top left. That makes zero sense at all to not at least send a weak march there. But
all the people around it have already been zeroed. There's only the Pier 10, which is next to that building, which can rain it now. It looks like Sammy's also out of her hunters. As you could see, when she went to send that march, her hunter one was capped, but her inventory and rider one wasn't. So it does look like the hunter one, is the one which she's run out of troops on.
This seems like a match of desperation, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it seems like it's going to be a match that is probably going to test the nerves of every single player playing right now, and the people that are going to keep them calmer and making the better decisions at the end is probably going to be able to turn around and win. Because 11 minutes is still going with only a 15k difference.
We should. Oh no! Is she not going to take? Did she take the hit? I was curious if she was going to burn or not. She didn't take the hit, did she? Or did she? I missed it.
I haven't seen it. I'm watching right now.
I saw she ended up porting, so I wasn't too sure if she was going to take it or not.
Seems like fighting for the top right building again to try to get control from it, because with the control they will get an extra 2,000 points. But the difference right now is a little bit higher, especially because they're resetting every single building they can for the water puddles. So it's right now at 23,000.
It's also looking like Nightmare has now got some player attacks, but there has been no burning. I've seen a couple of hits going in, but no burning still. Okay, let's have a little look at Serbian girls. As I said, this one's a close. Oh, that's not looking good for her. Can you see this? They're now collecting.
I've been tracking that match so far. It's a very, very interesting thing.
But with that lead, 25,000 lead, have they taken middle yet? Because I haven't seen it. If they haven't taken middle...
No, they haven't reset middle.
I'm hoping she clicks on it. I want to see that water. I want to see the water on that middle. All the other ones are currently appearing at 0.
Yes,
but...
the red side reset all the blue buildings. All blue buildings are out of water. Besides that one, seems like I missed that one. Because if they lose that building and they don't capitalize and get the water back, it's going to be a huge struggle for them. Because it's going to be
4,800.
Yeah, it's going to be a bigger lead of more 10,000 if nobody pops in to basically get the water.
I'm curious if it's going to actually get knocked out. And at the moment, Serbian girls one of the main ones gathering, I believe. So if she ports, look at them water tanks up the north and south. Did you see that? There was only 1 or 2 blues on the north and south. And that's the reason why they're currently gathering so much more water than the blue team.
But there's another thing that we have to consider that, remember when we were having a very close match?
Yeah.
The thing that changed the dynamic was not how any of the players were playing this match. I think that the reason is, have you noticed the player count? That the red team got 2 extra players while we were talking about this and the difference phrase. And 2 extra players means in the best case scenario 12 extra water tanks or more joiners in other marches. So those 2 players actually changed the balance of the match very, very heavily, in my opinion.
Especially seeing as it's getting close to the end, and a lot of people probably don't have the troops to really be able to fight off them water tanks quite as easily. They did knock it out. Let's check if they're going to get the water puddles.
And you add that on top, having 2 fresh players joining with full troops being able to fight for the water tanks, that can probably flip a lot of advantage that you may have.
I just added another code to the chat for the viewers who are wanting to try and grab it. The gathering amounts have got a big jump now.
Seems like the red team is a little bit better in the water puddles in the center.
They did just take the center.
Yes. They reset the center, and red team was able to be prepared this time and get a lot of the water tanks, which made them keep part of their lead. So right now it's only 19,000.
Did you see the number before it hit?
Yes.
She looks like she's shouting at the background there. There's another blue team one which just got knocked out.
I think that red team got this at this point, because the difference is around 23,000. There's not many buildings still to reset.
I haven't seen the bottom right red buildings for a while though. Have you?
I don't think I have. I'm not entirely sure.
Same as the WP. Is it WPP1, the one on the far bottom left-hand corner? I haven't seen that one leave the red occupancy for a while either. I wish
8,000.
There. See, so they can still turn this around. I haven't. I want to see the other 2. I want to see the other 2. They need to really try to. They really need to try and push them last 3. If they don't push them last 3,
they have 6 minutes. If they push for those buildings,
do you see her keep clicking on it? She's like
yes,
trigger
she's
wanting
aware.
to grab it.
She's aware that they have to reset it, I think.
The question is the ones on the bottom right as well. I'm curious about them.
Because it's 20,000 difference. There's 16,000 in there. She just shared the building.
She still hasn't looked at the other two though. There she goes. Okay, so through them three buildings, that would make a 20,000 difference.
Only 5 minutes. So.
Oh, there they go. Ah, it's the loading screen. Why? We'll watch it.
The loading screen of anxiety.
Come on.
This is the worst time for us to do this because it's killing me. What's gonna happen?
They're not knocking them out. They're not knocking them out though.
I have no idea how many troops are inside, but that's one of the rally leads. So.
Do you see her like pumping them up? Come on! I see her pumping them up in the background.
Oh, they're starting to reinforce because that means they're probably losing troops if they're starting to reinforce.
They've just realized what's going on here. They've realized wow! Why did she send an equal march there? Like you're trying. That was your main march. That was your main march.
At this point, it's pressure. And they're reinforcing right now with speeds. 600,000. I think they're going to be able to flip this building. Unless the other team massively speeds up.
Outriders.
Come on, scream.
She's not doing much damage to it. It's the Pier 10's probably doing more damage to it. Maybe
they flipped the building in the bot. They flipped one of the buildings in the bot.
Oh, I see, and that was with 3,000 water, wasn't it? This one will change the water by 18,000.
9 now.
Oh, look at this! They're all just soloing it. Why haven't? There they go.
There you go. Let's go and see the water.
It looks like the red team got two, maybe 3 puddles. The blue team got the majority, but not quite enough to flip it. They missed out on 3 of the puddles on the left, I believe. There's now a 9,000 gap.
Now it's 14,000.
14,000, yeah, because they just lost another building themselves on the top left.
There's only 2,000 in that building.
It's not going to make the difference. There's a 14,000 gap. Unfortunately, 3 minutes left. It looks like FBI. Loading, please wait.
I'm surprised there are not more loading emotes in chat. Because before people were sending loading emotes in chat.
I'm finally seeing burning on Nightmare's screen. The whole time I've been watching this, I haven't seen anyone burning. And I've literally been sat here waiting for that one. That was the one which had the biggest strength difference, and they are previous winners. So I was really expecting that to have the one which had the most burning.
Expected VLFR to be the one with most burning and the biggest difference, but I expected more burning in VXM. I'm not gonna disagree with that. But it's older states tend to be more deadly, let's put it that way, than newer states.
No, it's I believe it's the opposite, because the older states are the ones with 6 million plus troops, and you can't burn. Because you can't burn in the older states, they're the ones which are more trying to just send multiple marches at all the buildings to try and take them.
Oh, I usually see a lot of rallies like the emote. They had sent 6 marches off. Time to rally or to attack them. That's what I usually see a lot in the matches of older states. Because you have a lot of max players with everything max in older states. So if they see a joiner especially moving out, I see them basically destroy every joiner that does that. That doesn't leave the.
I did also just see the event skin on the top left. You know the rally event skin where you get that gigantic vehicle charging in? You have to really do well in your mining mayhems and SVSs to be able to achieve that. Because you need to get the 5,000 on a badge to be able to get the skin. There we go. So 3 teams all crushing it, getting their first place. The only one which is left is this one just here. So they've only got they've got less than a minute to go. So unfortunately, I do think this is going to be a lost one.
It is. It was a good match, honestly. This was a very, very close match.
I really did enjoy this. I really did enjoy this one. Was the one which I think I enjoyed the most out of all of them, except for the loading. This is hurting.
Let's be real, okay? The loading was part of the emotion, especially at that moment that we had, 9,000
the 9,000 water
and the loading was like, come on, let me show it to me. At that moment, I was super anxious to see what was happening, and the loading was in the screen. It was part of the emotion. Let's be real.
We were really just counting down, thinking how long until we get to see this action. It was specifically on the very first march. You saw the first march just go and then pause. And it was the very first. And as you know, when it comes to a rally lead, they're either going to 1 march a building to take it, or they're going to 20 march it to be able to finally take it.
And then you have a loading exactly 1 second before the first march to hit it, and you're like, "Come on, not now!"
I gotta say that I stick to that was probably the best fight out of them all. Now, which one did you say you thought was going to? I can't remember. Which one did you say you thought was going to be the best? I think it was.
I thought Sammy was going to be closer. I was mistaken, and I even forgot to consider the fact that their rally was not for 30 minutes in the match. But once you commit,
I was not expecting that much of a gap, though. So, as you can see, WSU done a great fight on their very first one against 1. But then when they went up against AOP, they really did struggle. And as I mentioned earlier, because of the gap between the first fight on Sammy's team, they're going to really be struggling in the next fight. And if they do not win the next fight, they will be knocked out. Now,
there's also a morale aspect in this, because imagine you just being beaten with the other team having 500,000 points, and you not knowing that the rally didn't show up in the match, so you go and completely demoralized to the last match.
But have you noticed this one last thing? TDO did worse against 1 than WSU.
Yes.
So that will make that one really interesting, because they actually done worse than the other team did, meaning they've got technically they should have a better chance in the next match. So that will really show which one of these alliances are going to make it through to the next stage.
Again, participation, participation is going to be a huge thing for the last match. So if we can't find a participation for the last match, it can turn around everything, and you may not be able to predict. And this is one thing that I can say that made Reservoir League interesting to be nowadays, even if people don't like it. Is at least to watch it, it's more unpredictable than it would be in Sundays, because a lot of people can make more consistently to Sunday fights.
I gotta say, I can't be outdone. So if you're gonna do 2, you know what? I'll do 2 too. There you go. There's 2 codes now out inside the chat for you guys. Check Group H.
Answering your question, yes. I am going to stream some of the RL matches, and Stealth is probably going to stream his RL matches. I am currently going to stream the RL matches for an alliance from State Free. They are 2-time champions, and they agreed to allow me to stream every single one of their matches.
And on me, yes, I am going to be streaming some of them. So I am in Day of Hope Section E, and I'm playing with AMD's 215. We've already qualified because we won our first 2 fights. The next fight should be I expect it to be one of the easier fights out of the 3. But I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. But we've already qualified to the knockout round either way, so we're not really we're confident in our next fight that we're going to be able to win it. The problem is I can't stream when it's 15 UTC, so unfortunately I won't be streaming this live. I'll be playing this one on my phone while picking up my kids. The next one, which I was going to go over, though, was... So, where is it? We've got the Forgotten Coast, and it is Group A. So, obviously, as you can see, WXM won both their fights, but you see Bad, they didn't do near as good as FFS against MAD. So this means that Bad are possibly going to really struggle trying to fight FFS next week. It's going to be a very difficult fight for them ones. The other 2 ones which we was watching was obviously Group B in Dark Factory, where we was watching Hop against SFH, and we was all so as you can see, where is it? ESP. They went up against SFH and lost. Then they lost dramatically against KOP, same as Hop did. So that gives us no information on like how well Hop and ESP are going to fight against each other. They both struggled so bad against KOP. They equally it could be a very interesting fight between them two.
I'd be willing to go for VLFR Alliance, but yeah, I think we should be able to try to get to talk to one of the people that were playing the matches to talk to them right now. What do you think, Self?
Yes, why don't we bring in Nightmare, and
Sure.
we'll be able to speak to him. The last fight which we was watching, obviously, was FBI against FWH. Unfortunately, FWH is now no longer in Reservoir League. They're going to have one more fight next week, but even if they win the last fight, they will not make it through, because it's the top 2 alliances which make it through.
It's still worth fighting for the rewards, but of course the morale is going to be a little bit lower.
Yeah, of course. So now we actually have Nightmare inside the call. How's it going, Nightmare?
Hello, guys. Yeah, not too bad. How are you guys getting on?
Oh, we're very well, thank you. Very well, thank you.
It was a fun experience to watch all the 4 matches at the same time. Honestly,
I bet it was, watching how everybody plays and the different gen heroes and all the different states.
Mm-hmm. And some of the matches were really close. We were actually getting up to a point where one of the matches were decided in literally the last 3 minutes.
Oh, what state was that?
That was Serbian Girls match. It was really, really close.
Oh, right, okay.
At the beginning, they were losing by about 30-something thousand water. They brought it back all the way to 3,000 water difference. But once the water tanks opened up, that's where their struggle really began, because they weren't pushing the water tanks at the beginning as much as they needed to. If they pushed the water tanks as much as the enemy team pushed, I think they would have taken it.
Right, okay.
If we want to start with the questions that we want to make to our dear Pika here.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Welcome to the stream. First of all, great match. You guys absolutely crushed it. Second, could you tell our audience a little about yourself and your actual alliance?
Well, as some of you might already know, I'm Pika the streamer, and I'm here in state 702 with the alliance called VXM, which was founded by Werewolf, and it was basically a group of friends from previous states that all decided to come here to state 702, where everybody followed Werewolf, and yeah, we took season 4 champion in last RL, and it's been going very well ever since.
Les?
Is that all right?
Yeah, that was perfectly fine. Les will ask you the second question.
Sure. Can you tell us our role today, and how do you feel about how you did perform today with your role during Reservoir League?
Yeah, so we go ahead and get ourselves set up into groups, and it's our job as a rally leader to stay in those positions and hold those key structures. That's why it was slightly a little bit dull, I would say. We was holding our water treatment center and processing building quite well. We did lose it a couple of times, but when we got to the halfway point, the enemy team decided to change their tactics, which is very important when you play in RL. You need to adapt to the situation, and they started jumping around and going for other buildings to try and get the water and start picking it up, but just didn't work in their favor, unfortunately.
Can I ask? Well, sorry, just an extra question. So, do you guys have people who are allocated for the water tanks?
We do, yes.
Okay. I noticed that you guys were performing really well, but a lot of the times when you opened the map, the water tanks were very empty. It felt.
I think it was more the fact that we was adapting to the gameplay of the enemy team, because they weren't sticking to like their game plan, so they had to change their tactics and just jump around. So we kind of had our guys jumping around who would, normally be
Yes,
going for objective and following those and supporting. I think that was the main game change plan that happened in today's game.
So when they were porting, they were losing the water tanks.
Yeah, they were porting. They were going to help and reinforce quickly where it was needed, and they were jumping around because they couldn't take the objectives they were actually wanting and going for weaker objectives. And when they took those, obviously the water came out, so obviously people were jumping to collect the water, and then they get recalled and they can't stay where they have to stay.
What do you think about today's result, and considering everything, including the fact that they adapted with the strategy in the middle of the match, and how do you respond to it? How do you see the match?
Well, the important thing is just, this is a game, and the important thing is, you got to stay calm, you got to stay focused. You're on Discord. You're with a group of, you're with everyone in the alliance. It's very important to keep communication at an understandable level without everyone, talking over each other. And you just got to do the best that you can, really.
How far in advance do you make your strategies or your plans?
Right. Well, that's a bit of a tricky one, because, like we were just saying, like with the opponent we were just playing against, they obviously had a plan and it fell apart in like 20 minutes of the game. So it's very important that you have a good team that you can communicate and adjust and adapt to the situation. So we go in with a plan, with our formations, with our where we need to go. We had our key positions, and based on how like the first 20 minutes of the gameplay is going, you either stick to it or you change it and have to adapt. And like for me, up in the top right corner there, we was doing a good job, and we didn't have to change our tactics. I could just stay there and keep hold of the building, and the enemy team had to change their tactics, and that's where our our collectors change their tactics as well, and kind of like adapt to the situation and follow them in a way.
Okay, so to continue on from that, do you think a good strategy can actually beat a more powerful team?
Ooh, that's a bit of a tricky question in RR, because given the right conditions to make it happen, then yes, a better strategy with a team that can back it up, can win a stronger team. But you have so many different factors involved in the match that makes this a bit of a difficult question to properly answer. To be honest, but people see the game playing so many different ways and so many different outcomes. It's a bit tricky to say yes and no, because everyone will have their own personal input and vision on how the battle is going to go. So it is difficult to kind of answer that.
And speaking of vision and stuff like that, what do you think was the biggest point of the biggest play that you had in the match? The moment that you were like, oh wow, this seems like it wasn't expected, or that this really may make or break the match.
In the game that we've just had, I wouldn't really say there was like a really big play in it, because we weren't, having to resort to, setting lots of different rally leads on, just to try and like get somebody out. I think that would be a more suitable question for when we get to the finals, and it really comes down, to neck and neck competition.
Okay, and do you think that the VXM is going to go to the finals?
Yeah, well, we aim to reach it again like last year, since we won season 4. So all we can do is play each match as they come and see how far we can get up the ladder this year. That's pretty much the best we can do, especially since it's on a Friday. But
Yep.
we're dealing with that.
One question that I'd like to ask personally, but I think it's interesting to see the answer. But do you have any opponents that you think they're going to be dangerous until you're halfway to the finals? And which one do you think are the most dangerous ones?
There is, but we're going to keep that a secret for the next stream.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
I've already got one or two which is inside your division, which I think will be some tough fights for you.
Yeah.
All right.
But
excellent.
I do think that one of the answers that Stealth is probably going to give, which is the same answer that I did, I know for a fact that you beat them before. So.
Oh, have they?
We beat them in season 4, did we?
And you beat them in Reservoir raid as well, not long ago.
So that's
so
probably
you know
the reason
exactly
why
which
you're
one
thinking
I'm talking about.
Right.
Well,
all right, excellent.
we shall let you get back to your stream, of course. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your time. Well played today, and best of luck in the future Reservoir League fights.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Enjoy. Thanks, guys. Peace out.
Have a good one. Well, So we're still thinking the same teams on being a struggling fight for them. It sounds like he's thinking that it's going to be a completely different way. So how close was their previous fight? May I ask?
Which
Do you think
previous fight you mean? Oh, the one in
their
the last
Reservoir raid
RR?
fight you just mentioned?
Yes. They beat them with a decent advantage. But the thing is that the team that they beat them before is not the same team that they're going to fight this Reservoir raid. Not only in stats, but also they become a lot more bloody. Let's put it that way. They are that kind of state in an SPS, and I faced them that basically zero everyone inside of the gray zone just to beat the crap out of the other team. So it's going to be a very. I think that the match out of all matches that I've seen so far that I'm most interested of the entire block is when they're fighting each other to watch. That is a match that I wouldn't miss if it's going to be streamed no matter what.
Yeah, if this, so I will let the viewers in on this. So there's an alliance which there's a few alliances actually in the 700s which are very, very strong. They have some very solid leads and they have a lot of strong players. So obviously VXM is one of the ones which are very strong and has a lot of leads. Now, while the other ones, which I think is going to be a very strong matchup against them, is actually in Group C, which is THO. As you can see, they just had their fight as well, and they crushed their fight. So I think so when it comes up,
also as well is another scary one. I think those are the three ones that if I had to bet that
as you can see, DYZ also crushed their fight, 697 against 699. So I as soon as you said DYZ, I'm like, I know where they are. So these are some. If any one of these three teams go up against each other, then if there's any chance of it being streamed anywhere, I'm going to be one of the first ones to try and watch that. We actually have someone from THO inside the chat right now.
So these are the matches. These are the three teams I think they're going to have the most interesting matches, and probably unless they are on the same side of the brackets, the person that wins the that wins the fight against one of the other two teams are going to go to the final against the other teams. That is my prediction, at least.
As you can see, all three of them have already made the knockout round, so all three of them will be participating in here. I wouldn't be surprised if two of them teams did make the final. So
Yes.
Just to recap, the four teams which we did watch today was we did watch. I'm inside the wrong one. Dark Factory. We did watch Hop against SFH. Through what we saw, Hop literally just held every single building. SFH only could get points by going for the water tanks in that fight. The next fight which we did see, I'll let him mention this one.
It was FBI against WH, which was Serbian girls. It was a very close match that it was decided in the last 3 minutes due to the turning around. And honestly, it's sad that to see that this match decided that one of the streamers is being knocked out. It was at least a good match to actually watch because it was very fun. If it was very fun to stream it, it was definitely fun to watch. That's for sure.
Yeah, that one looked like it was a great one to participate in. It was a really good fight. Of course, they will be. She will still be streaming one more fight, but unfortunately, she is out. Now, the other two ones which we did watch today, you will be able to rewatch these fights, by the way, just in case you did meet them. So one of the other ones which we did watch today was AOP against WSU. At the beginning, it did look like it had the potential to be a very close fight, but once it got going, there was no closeness about it. I believe this one was the second one to see burning settlements in. That's how brutal it got. And then...
And the difference, as we were saying, that one single rival lead can make, because Zohan was not able to show up in the first match, and it was a very close match. And in the second match, that that technically the other team beat the team that they're fighting the team that they almost lost to, they completely destroy them. So that's how important participation is, especially if you're strong players in the Reservoir League.
And then the last match is obviously VXM, who we was just speaking to, Nightmare. And he obviously done very well inside his match. They were holding pretty much all the buildings straight from the start. And obviously they were the ones which we're expecting to make it through to the finals. He's only here because the cat's here, and he really wants to get at the cat, but he knows I won't let him. He is a little bit too playful for this old guy back here. Well, is there anything else you want to go through, Les, for today's stream?
Oh, I'd say no. I'd say it was a very fun experience. I hope everyone watching enjoyed it, because it was definitely fun to look at the 4 matches at the same time and capture the moments. And it gave us an experience of actually being able to check in matches that are not only at different points, but also some of them being interesting at different situations, you know? Because some matches were very interesting, like when they had turnarounds, like Pika mentioned himself, and others were close almost during the entire match. But if you only get to stream a single match, it can be one-sided and not have a lot to talk about, I think.
Yeah, so he's gone. I've lost him.
No.
Well,
it's probably a source that you're having issue there.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's happened there, but we've now lost Les. Well, it was absolute pleasure streaming to you guys. I really did enjoy this, especially watching all the other people playing there. It was there was one very, very close matchup, of course. The other 3 kind of were a bit of a slaughter, as you expect most of the time in the initial fights. Once you actually get to the knockout stages, that's when all the fights start to get a little bit closer, as it is the big teams all going at it. This stage where they're just knocking out you leave that cat alone. Yeah, so on the preliminaries are obviously when you whittle down the ones which A, can't get enough participation in, or B, just unfortunately don't have the leads to really push it or the strategy to really engage on it. But I would like to thank you all for watching. Obviously, as I said, it was an absolute pleasure streaming to you guys. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again. Much love to you all. Would you like to do a quick outro?
Yeah, I agree. I think that all of us enjoy being here. Let's hope we can do more matches, especially closer to the finals. It's going to be a lot more competitive, and all matches are probably going to be like FBI being opening up in the last 3 minutes for the results. And I think that I'd like to thank everyone that is in here today, and I hope you guys enjoyed as much as we did. That's about it.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for joining me today, Lezard. And
thank you as well, Stealth.
We shall see you all guys next time. Okay, much love to you all. Best of luck in your Reservoir leagues, and